The Scarlet and Rage podcast. I am Michael, the voice of reason. This is Jay, the voice of rage. And we are coming to you in this very special national championship edition. We don't get to do this often. Most fan bases don't get to do it often, outside of Alabama, who got to do it quite often for a significant period of time, a little over a decade. But other than that, most fan bases don't get to do this often. We get to do it more than almost anybody. This is our third in the modern era. And we are right alongside LSU with 3. And, of course, Alabama with, what do they have, Jay? 5 in the modern era? Is that what it is? Or is it 6? 6 in the modern era. So they are a clear leader, but Ohio State is second to none other than Alabama, tied with LSU. And so what a fantastic, time to be a Buckeye. It seems like 10 long years. You've got other fan bases that if they could have had 2 national championships in the last 10 years, they would have done anything within their power. And so let's enjoy this one. We're going to talk a little bit about maybe, I don't know, some controversy that could be coming up. It's going to be a new DC. What direction's Ryan Day going to go? That's not really what this episode's about, but we do know that Jim Knowles is leaving. So we might brush up on that just briefly. That was breaking news. He wasn't at the national championship. Well, it's not breaking now, but it was. He was not at the national championship celebration. A lot of rumors swirling around. Some supposed, messages, DMs directly from his sister explaining Jim Knowles' point of view. If we're to believe those, I really don't know if there's anything to it or not. So be that as it may, what a fantastic last several days it's been. Jay, it took me a little while to enjoy this one. I don't know why. It just did. I didn't enjoy the
Your mic just went out on you, buddy.
I was just tense. I was. It started off with my nemesis UT, and that was glorious. And so that certainly loosened me up a little bit. I felt great against Oregon. Against Texas, I never felt good. Never felt good the whole day. Never felt good throughout the game. I was so tense I could barely. I know. I've explained it. I felt hopeful, but I didn't feel good. I didn't feel confident. I didn't feel excited about the game, like it was going to be an exciting game. I didn't have that feeling about it, and it really wasn't an exciting game. It was kind of a doldrum type of a game, right up until the end, and then the Notre Dame game. Kind of had a weird feeling about that. It felt like we were going to win, but it really felt like we could win big. And then it was kind of a weird game, kind of a boring game, kind of. And so it took me a little while. I don't know. It took a little while for this one to set in. I expected it in some ways, but yet I was very, very like, oh my gosh, are we going to blow it? In other ways, there was kind of that push pull of hope and optimism and fear. And so, yeah, but it's still fantastic. Feeling better and better, actually, for me. Maybe the glow has started to fade a little bit. I don't know. How about you? Where are you in the championship glow?
Number one, actually 2 things. Number one, Michael, everything you just said about the Texas game was the opposite of what you were telling me the day of the game, because I called you and was like, talk me off the ledge. I'm fucking freaking out here. I shouldn't have said F within the last first 10 minutes, but I don't care. You talked me off the ledge and you told me not to worry, but then, here you're saying the opposite. So were you misleading me now, or are you misleading us now? Like, which one is that? And then number 2, closer to the Notre Dame game, I got just being around the, just letting it marinate as time went on. I actually felt more confident. I picked a 31-21 final score, and I came damn near close to nailing it. So my initial score is 27-20, but then I upped it to 31-21. So Yeah. So yeah, Michael, can you explain yourself first on the whole Texas thing? Because did you mislead me to make me feel better just as a nice guy?
Well, it's the SEC. So I'm always a little juiced up against the SEC because to me, it really comes down to a pride thing. It's the Big Ten pride versus the SEC. And so that always adds an extra element that makes it, a little bit more difficult for me. But I was hopeful. I just I didn't have any strong feelings about it either way. And as the game went, it was just like, oh, this is not the kind of game I was hoping we were going to come out and play. And so then it did turn into a little bit of concern, but I was always hopeful because I did feel like we were the best team. I just never saw that coming at the end, driving down, scoring the touchdown. I thought we're probably heading to overtime, and then who knows what that happens. But Jack Sawyer with the play of the year, just running it back and changes the course of the game. Maybe, who knows, could have even changed the course of history itself. And the Notre Dame game, when I saw how much better we were than them, the final score was like a little bit deflating, like as whiny as that sounds. When I saw how we could attack them in certain ways and how we just really went uber conservative after that turnover. I get it. I understand it. I'm not faulting Ryan Day for it. I get it that I was running the math in my head and the chances were super low that they were going to be able to mount enough offense to overcome that. And he played it safe and it ended up being a nice, comfortable victory anyhow.
Michael, there is so much to digest here with this game. So I'm just going to say just wow. It was a long 10 years. And yes, we sound very spoiled when I say that, but I don't care. We are Ohio State. That is the expectations. I will not apologize for it. This national championship will never be forgotten in all of history because just like in 2014, winning the 4-team playoff, then that, winning, they also won the first 12-team playoff. Now that gives us 3 national championships in the 21st century behind Alabama at 6 and tied for LSU's 3. And I will say this, obviously being in Atlanta, I haven't had time to really reflect on my trip there. It was freezing cold in Atlanta. I swear, like just the height of the buildings created like wind tunnels on the streets in some places. And it was just awful to be outside in on like Sunday and Monday night. Now, Monday night, I was like half drunk, so it didn't affect me as much, but it was really cool. Really, really cool hotel I stayed in, but it was actually connected to the Marriott Marquis where Notre Dame stayed. It literally like you could do this little skywalk thing over to the Marriott Marquis, which actually has a little bit of history there because a lot of TV shows and movies were filmed. And I took some pictures of the interior. So I thought that was really cool. And the Hyatt Regency, where Ohio State stayed. So anytime I went to go out and walk around, I went through both hotels. So I saw the best of humanity in Ohio State and the worst humanity in Notre Dame fans. So it was like walking between heaven and hell every single time.
Yeah. Well, that probably added to the experience. A lot of memories you racked up that weekend, Jay.
I did
lifelong
the best
memories.
I could.
That as long as your mind is functioning and you haven't gone into senility of some type in your old age, you're going to remember that weekend for the rest of your living days.
Oh, I will never forget it. I don't know if something like that will ever happen again. Hell, I could drop dead in the next couple of days and never have experienced something, or I could like live forever in Ohio State, just not ever win again. You never know. That's why you just
never know.
gotta live in the moment as best you can. And that's what I did. And, listening to the recap of like me inside the stadium, that's exactly what I did. And Michael,
we're going to get into it. Jay, let me just tease this out real quick before we move totally into the game. I'm going to get into this in the off season. I'm going to make my case why Ohio State is primed for a dynastic run. Right decisions have to be made. The right mindset has to be maintained. And those are 2 major big ifs, because those are things that typically go wrong that keep teams from achieving a dynasty, but I'm going to make my case for why Ohio State could go on a dynastic run of at least 3 national championships, including this one, within the next 5 to 7 years. I think that'll be some good offseason material to get into.
Okay, Michael. Well, I tell you what, I'm almost looking forward to that, man. I don't even want you to spoil me, much less the audience. Michael, I have a question for you. So post-Michigan game, you remember that episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we did like 2 episodes on it, and man, we went viral. But a part of me almost wants to think and believe.
Well, you went viral on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it.
I don't know.
But yeah, you're right.
Viral. It's our show. It's not my show. It's our show.
That's true. That's true. The comment section did go 100% viral.
Which I have never seen the clip of that. I mean, that's what was told to us. But at the same time, I have not seen it. That person who said that never posted a clip. We have posted. Speaking of which, everyone, we are on Spotify and X. So please subscribe on X. And as well, if you don't want to see us on here and all of our, all of this, then you can listen on Spotify. But Michael, I have a question for you. I guess it's not really a question. It's more of a statement. And the fact what I was going to say is this team had such a major turnaround post-Michigan. It almost leads me to believe that Ryan Day listened to our show. So we should take credit for Ohio State winning the national championship and making Ryan Day turn this fucking corner around, man. I mean, seriously, everything that we preached all year that we said Ohio State should do, they started to do.
I will say this, starting with that Tennessee game, certainly if you go back and listen to that pregame, the things that we were saying, Ohio State, you've got to attack downfield. You've got to get your athletes in space. You've got to attack the perimeter. You've got to start sending some pressure and shaking up the quarterback. You cannot let this guy sit back there and pass and get into a rhythm. He will start dinking and dunking down the field, and he's got a cannon. He'll probably hit one deep eventually. Like, that's the game you cannot get into. And they did exactly that. Of course, I think it probably had nothing to do with us, but it was interesting that you seemingly
come on, Michael, be optimistic.
The things that we had consistently harped on this team, even though the team was winning, which sounds whiny, but it wasn't whiny. It was, this is not what this team is capable of. And so, that's what we were harping on. Nobody more than us wanted to see, them turn that corner and hit the gear that they were capable of. It's just that we didn't have a lot of historical evidence that would give us faith that Ryan Day was going to do that after the last game of the season, because that would have been 6 full years that he's continued to kind of do these same things to keep him from achieving that goal that Ohio State has seemingly been extremely close to from the time they won the last one, almost year in and year out, at least several of those years. And so, but he did. And so, better late than never. I mean, I heard a comparison today that I don't totally disagree with, that this is the 2015 team. That if the 2015 team would have had a 12-team playoff, the 2015 team probably would have done something similar to this. They pointed out that how they came out and destroyed that pretty good Jim Harbaugh team, and how they went and played a top 7 or 8 Notre Dame team that would have been a first or second round playoff type of matchup, and pretty much destroyed them in a game that didn't even mean anything. And so, that's very possible. They could have been this type of team. But because that team didn't get it turned on almost all year. And then the last couple of games, boom, they exploded. And you begin to see that even with JT Barrett at quarterback, they could put a lot of points on the board with all that talent that they had. But that one wasn't to be. This one was. And I give Ryan Day a lot of credit that he did some soul searching. He basically said, my back's against the wall, and if I'm going out with at least who I am and that's a guy that's going to pass the ball, that's going to find mismatches in the secondary and matchups against linebackers and get athletes in space. And then you added Chip Kelly's running game to that it's like all of a sudden the Chip Kelly running game came out and you could see it again. And when it came together like that, my goodness, it was an unstoppable force.
Michael, shoot, I feel like I had something insightful to say there, but I lost. Oh, that is two future episodes right there that I'm going to gather from what you just said. Number one, I feel like we need to do an episode sometime in the off season about the years that Ohio State, could or would have won the national championship with a 12-team playoff. And then number two, the years that were really needed for a 12-team playoff, like, for instance, 2007, when there was like 8 different teams that were number one in the year that we played LSU in the national championship. But moving from that, I know you just said we have a chance to do some kind of dynastic run or something. I don't know if that's true. Recruiting has slowed down a little bit. The transfer portal has slowed down a little bit, but I will say this. Ohio State does, and I said this 10 years ago too, and this is why I always got so pissed off covering Ohio State, because I always know what they're capable of. And Ohio State, for the fact of the matter, they have the highest ceiling, in my opinion, in all of college football out of any program. The Big Ten is the most physical college football conference on earth, and Ohio State plays with that same physicality on top of having high SEC athletes all over the field. So mentally, we are a Big Ten team, but that can grind you out, but we also have the speed to run by you.
We could also be entering an era where we're now saying they have Big Ten type athletes on their team, because the Big Ten.
I don't know about that. We'll see. I'm not ready to say that. I will say this though, and we'll get into we need to do like a Big Ten, post-season show, I guess, on how the conference did and bowls and everything. But the Big Ten last year went 2-4 against the SEC. I understand Michigan won the national championship, and that was great. We wanted Michigan to win, and I feel like that's where a lot of our Michigan it's not that I feel like that was where a lot of our Michigan fan base came from when we were cheering on the Michigan Wolverines last year, because we knew it would help Ohio State. And look what happened. Ohio State turned around and won the fucking national championship. So we were right all along.
And you know what's going to happen? Penn State is now got a taste. They're up in their ante. I think they're stupid for doing it on the defensive side of the ball when they need offense, but whatever. They can make whatever decisions they want to make. That's James Franklin's call. But Penn State's doing what they can. Michigan is upping the ante. Their recruiting is going back to a higher level than it even was really for the national championship run, when they had the 14th best roster in the country on paper. Probably within 3 years, they're going to have the 6th, 7th, 8th best roster on paper a lot of years. Oregon is going to be upping the ante. They have had a taste. They want it. They see that. They feel like this is their time to finally get over that hump and win a national championship. And that's how conferences become strong, is start having 3 and 4 programs that can and have won national championships, and iron sharpens iron.
I couldn't agree more. Well, there really still was not a conversation to be had last season about the SEC and Big Ten. The Big Ten went 2-4 in bowl games against the SEC, one of them being Ohio State losing to Missouri. Again, you just can't lose that game. But this season, Michael, not only did the Big Ten win the national championship, but we had a 6-1 record against the SEC, with Ohio State winning 2 of those games. So with that said, there is a conversation now. I don't know that the Big Ten is better than the SEC top to bottom, but there is a conversation to be had now. There weren't conversations to be had, until this season. So it's been a long time. I feel like it's been since the early 2000s and late 90s since there were actual conversations about the Big Ten versus the SEC. And it's great that we are in an era again that we can enjoy those conversations, because Midwest football, man. It's in our blood. We're very passionate about it. I understand the Southeast is too, but fuck them. We're Big Ten, baby, and the Big Ten is back-to-back national champions. Yeah, so fuck you, SEC.
This might be the best bowl season since I think it was 90, maybe it was 98. I think, and the Big Ten
2002, the Big Ten went like 7-1 in bowl games.
Okay, well, 98 they went either 5-6-0 and like 2 or 3-0
Right.
against the SEC, and so that was a great bowl season too. Yeah, 2002, you're right, that was a great bowl season. Even 2000, I think 6 bowl season wasn't too bad. I remember the Big Ten maybe taking 2 out of 3 against the SEC that year, but there's been a lot of really bad bowl seasons in there for the Big Ten teams, and it got it frankly by about 2011. 2012, 2013, it was getting embarrassing how much better the SEC was than the Big Ten. And, I credit Urban Meyer for beginning that lift. When he came into Ohio State and he began to do things differently, the rest of the Big Ten said, we're either going to start to modify or or Urban Meyer's just going to run through this conference. And Michigan stepped up and changed the way they did things. Other schools have, and it's just continued to evolve on. And it's been a slow rise, but it's been a steady rise, and they're now there. It's for the taking. The Big Ten can take control and be the king of college football. It is within its grasp.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I was watching some like Southern Hicks show on the SEC network. It was it's called Marty and McGee or something like that, and it's not a very good show, but every now and then they talk about
Marty.
Like,
is it the NASCAR guy?
Yes, it's a NASCAR guy. Yeah, I get. Yeah, I was telling my wife
Yeah.
that. I'm like, I didn't know they were a NASCAR show, and she's like, yeah, she's a NASCAR fan. I'm not. Or she was a NASCAR fan. I don't know if she still is or not. I don't think she really watches it anymore because her favorite racer retired, but I don't know. But what I was going to say is I was watching their show and they were giving credit to the Big Ten, and they're like, they backed it up. So
that's good.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited there. But I will say this, man. So let's start getting, and I will say also the chat is like exploded today. I wish I could really read off our chats. We have so much to cover here. Obviously, if you do a super chat, we have to respond to you. I'll do the best. We'll do the best we can to respond to some of these, but we have a lot to break down with this game because that's the whole point of this episode. Michael, listening to Notre Dame post-game shows, they make it sound like they had so many missed opportunities. Well, what about the missed opportunities from Ohio State to put the game away? Like the missed touchdown throw to Carnell Tate in my side of the end zone and a fumble by Emeka Ibuka after a long end around. Notre Dame also had an extra day of rest between games. Howard also missed Jeremiah Smith on a quick out route that would have gone for like 15 plus yards midway through the fourth quarter. So there were misses on both sides. So these Notre Dame podcasters and stuff saying how they had so many missed chances on offense. Okay, you know what? Maybe you did. Ohio State had a lot of missed chances on offense too. So suck our dicks, you bitches. Like, what the fuck, man? They are the whiniest fucking faggots ever. I mean, it's just they annoy me so fucking much, man. It just, I'm sick and fucking tired of playing them, man. Fuck off. Leave us alone. We're 7-2 against you. Leave us the fuck alone.
And they were playing against the number one defense in the country. I mean, I know that we could debate whether there was a defense that maybe was actually better. It'd be tough to debate it, really. I mean, they had the best statistical defense like across the board in defense. So were they a perfect defense? No, they were not. But they were the best defense in college football this year consistently across the board. And, that the fact that Notre Dame scored 21 tells me that either Ohio State's D was a little off or Notre Dame's offense was really clicking at a high level or maybe a little bit of both. So to act like they had all these missed opportunities, come on, that offense can only do so much. I mean, it was only going to score so many points against this defense. It was when they basically had to throw the ball every down and basically go for it. Everything was 4 down territory. That's always difficult to stop. And Ohio State's offense kind of shut down and allowed it to feel close, there for a little bit as they were, kind of continuing to pass the ball downfield.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. On top of that, ratings were like way down for this game. Like, these are like the two biggest fan bases in the sport. But it was like they were the only two fan bases watching this game also. Like, checking out the Southeast message boards, they were like completely checked out. I don't think the Southeast I don't think they could have cared less, man. They really were turned off by this. Obviously there was no West Coast presence either. At the same time, it's just, like having such a regional game just kills ratings. It really does, because you look back in 2014 when we had our game against Oregon, I think it had like 32-ish million people watching the game, and that's on ESPN. So, I mean, it's like, man, it's, the ratings were just down. It's a little disappointing in that regard. Wish more people would like watch and follow college football, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, we're being told there's no super chat option. Not sure what that's about. I'll see if I can check it out. But yeah, you're exactly right on the ratings.
What? Really?
I thought maybe it would be big ratings. But
YouTube hates us. YouTube hates us. They want to censor us.
Okay. Yeah.
What happened?
YouTube has done something to us. We've got to submit some kind of information or something, I think, to get super chat back, is what it appears to me. We'll have to deal
information
with
is that?
I don't know. We'll have to deal with that at a later time. But at any rate, I guess there will be no super
YouTube,
chats tonight.
man.
So we will do our best to at least hit some of them, and get a little bit of the conversation going. But like Rage said, there's a lot of content to get to tonight. What do you think about the Ryan Day Jim Knowles marriage now that that's over, as it concerns this game, as it concerns the Notre Dame game? What do you think about the Ryan Day Jim Knowles marriage and its final, hoorah, before we never see it again?
Well, if we want to start with our defense versus Notre Dame's offense, is that what we want to start out with first?
Let's start
out with the defense versus Notre Dame's offense as we want to break this down. I wanted to start out on a positive note, man. I did. I really did. But Michael, you're dragging me to like kind of a dark place.
Oh, yeah?
So this is where the ugliness of this game comes in, because I feel like, we beat them on offense versus their defense and our special teams, surprisingly, but not really with our defense. We held Notre Dame, to a little over 300 yards, which was fine. And the run defense was amazing against their running backs. Jeremiah Love's bitch ass. We fucking slapped his fucking bitch ass back to South Bend. He was talking all that shit, and he likes to, I am happy about that. We shut him down. I'm very happy we shut him down, because I can't stand that guy. He has a punchable face. I wish somebody would just knocked him the fuck out. Fuck him. Fuck Jeremiah Love. Fuck that little bitch. Now I'm pissed off.
And I think we said that. I think we kind of said before the game, yeah, he's a good running back, but this isn't like something that Ohio State hasn't seen. Like, they're not going to
I made it
get out on the field.
You have to hit him, and hit him hard. They hit him, but they didn't like kill him. They didn't kill him like they killed Dylan Sampson and Jordan James from Oregon and Tennessee. The run defense was amazing in this game. No complaints against their running backs, but against Riley Leonard, it was, shaky. And then, the pass defense, man, the pass defense was just criminally bad in this game, Michael. Jaden Greathouse absolutely lit these guys up. And Ohio State is, they are kind of lucky that Notre Dame only scored 23, because other plays were there to be had. When you look at the open receivers Notre Dame had all game, once Riley Leonard got into a rhythm in the second half, Ohio State really could not stop them. And that's a problem. I mean, that was, I will say this, let's start with the defensive line, for instance. The defensive line, they were not as dominant as other games, but a lot of that had to do with Riley Leonard's scrambling ability. Notre Dame's offensive line was actually better with Tosh Baker and what the heck is the guy's name? Jagasaw starting together. They all of a sudden had like a big athletic line. They had Ohio State had 2 sacks against Notre Dame, but they really struggled getting consistent pressure. I noticed it. Like this was like the first game in the playoffs where Ohio State could not get pressure consistently with only 4 guys. Kenyatta Jackson missing the sack on Riley Leonard was big because it led to the pass interference that got Notre Dame like on track to score their, I believe their first touchdown of the game or second touchdown of the game. And that's when they started turning things around.
Yeah. Second touchdown of the game. Yeah. I mean, they definitely were having their way once Leonard started passing the ball because they were not getting consistent pressure on him. He's able to sit back there and they were not playing an overly aggressive defense. They were not sending pressure, and Leonard did a good job. I mean, he read the defense pretty well. He took those things that were available. He even took some shots downfield when they were available, and he hit them. And so, I mean, I guess we could give him credit. We could also say that it wasn't the finest night for the Ohio State secondary.
I will say this, man. This is where everyone was ripping on me. They're like, Notre Dame can't throw the ball. Notre Dame can't throw the ball. But if you watch them close enough, they absolutely can throw the ball. It's just they choose not to. Their offense is actually really good. Now, it did expose Ohio State's defense. Notre Dame, when they have to throw, they can't. Look at Penn State. Like the Penn State game, in all honesty, Notre Dame probably should have beat them by 2 touchdowns. They were quite a bit better than Penn State. Penn State had 2, they were +2 in the turnover margin and got maybe some favorable calls. I don't know. I don't really worry about that as much. But
the strange thing about that game was how Penn State clearly controlled the line of scrimmage in the first half and then just completely lost it in the second. I mean, even the great Nick Saban at halftime said Penn State is winning the battle at the line of scrimmage, and they were. It was clear. And then the second half, Notre Dame just kind of got on track and really just steamrolled.
Notre Dame just started throwing the ball. That's really simple. When Notre Dame committed to throwing the ball against Penn State, the game was over because Penn State's whole, their whole mindset is you can throw the ball, but we're going to bet that we get to your quarterback before he gets it off. And we're going to create enough negative plays that your passing yards aren't going to make much of a difference. Well, Notre Dame figured out a way to block them just enough to get the ball downfield. And then, it was over. Like Notre Dame was probably 10 to 14 points better than Penn State, in my opinion. That game, Penn State played as well as they could. Georgia, we're talking about Ohio State's defense. Georgia's defense was better than Ohio State's. It was quite a bit better. They could play the pass better. They, did a little better against Notre Dame's run offense against Leonard and everything. Georgia had the number 1 defense all year, but Ohio State had the best team, and that's all that matters. Ohio State was the best overall team.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to a couple of these comments here. We got a direct question here from Shane Cupp. Rage and Michael, will Freeman win a natty? I'll answer first, Rage. I'm not going to go out and say he absolutely will win a natty, but he absolutely can. And I would not have said that before this year. I think he absolutely can with the way he's recruiting. He's using the Michigan model, but I think that he may probably start figuring out that if he can, recruit that same kind of physicality with a quarterback that can throw, because maybe if he'd have committed to that more this year, maybe it would have been a very, very close national championship game. Who knows? But he seems to be very intent on wanting to run the ball, and that's fine. They can have that identity. But, if he starts evolving and having quarterbacks that can throw, getting a little better at wide receiver, they 100% could win a national championship. They're very, very close to being there with just a couple of tweaks. And so I entirely think it's possible that he could win a championship at Notre Dame. I wouldn't love it. I don't want him to. I can't stand Notre Dame. I would never root for that. Notre Dame and an SEC team in the national championship is just like puke. Can they both lose? There's no way. Is there any way for?
I'm cheering for the SEC. I'm cheering for the SEC.
I would too, but like reluctantly. Like I would, it felt much better to cheer for Michigan, quite frankly, than it did for the SEC. That's just my personal opinion. I know many won't agree. Another comment here.
I don't
from
think
Esther.
Marcus Freeman's going to win a national championship at Notre Dame, but he could win it somewhere else.
Well, that's true. That's true. Absolutely. He may be an Urban Meyer, Jay. He may win, except in reverse. He may win 1 at Notre Dame and 2 at Ohio State. Okay, SW Lion, hi all. Congrats again to the Buckeyes. I was so happy to see Philadelphia beat the snot out of those cocky Commanders yesterday. Yeah, I want whoever can stop Patrick Mahomes. Like, is he going to win another Super Bowl? Probably, because like you have to, he's always going to get them. I really am now a believer of the Mahomes bump. Like when Josh Allen on that 4th down, it was very difficult to. I knew it was going to get over. I knew it was going to be Kansas City's ball. I mean, every call. If you're close with Kansas City's going to win. You've got to be like Brady and the Buccaneers and just come out and dominate them. And then there's nothing.
I don't watch much NFL, but I did watch that game, and everyone complaining that the Bills got screwed and all this bullshit. And they did not get screwed. The Bills' offensive play calling was like late-term abortion type fucking bad. It was so bad. They played like bitches, and they lost. The better team won. So get over it, Buffalo. Maybe you should have a better game plan. You know what you don't do on 3rd and 3? You don't throw short of the sticks, you jackasses. It's like, what were you expecting on 4th and a half a yard? If you don't want to freaking be in a 4th and a half a yard, then throw a 5-yard out on 3rd and 3. Be aggressive. Play to win. But they didn't play to win. Maybe they don't have the personnel to do it. I will say this, the better team won. The stats show it. Kansas City was better. Complain all you want, but I respect Kansas City. I don't have to like them, but you can respect them. And you know what? They're the best team. They're great on the lines. They are. They have the best defensive mind in the game, and they have the best quarterback in the game. So, of course, they're usually going to be the best team. So, if you want to be the best, you better figure it out and get better players, get better coaches. So, too bad, so sad, Buffalo. You can go suck one. Fuck off. That's all I'm going to say about that game. But yeah, the better team won.
But ultimately, the game came down to one play. That 4th down call, which the ref on the field originally said was a 1st down. I don't know. They may have changed it. I can't remember. But it gets overturned. And it's uncanny, Jay, when you do follow the NFL, how many times pivotal play late in the game that's very questionable or sometimes even just completely ridiculous. And it goes Kansas City's way, and Kansas City gets the win. And so, it just happens so many times. It's almost like
it's amazing the power of the NFL and the ratings it draws. Now, I will say this. College would be a lot closer to the NFL if like our championship games were back on ABC again and NBC. I mean, well, I guess it wouldn't be close, but at least somewhat comparable. But like the NFL, like I don't know, if I were to guess, like people watching the Chiefs and Buffalo game, I'm getting 80 million people are probably watching that game, because I think for like the Super Bowls, you have like 150 million people watching that game, which is just insane, man. And I looked it up today. I'm like, well, what is the draw for the NFL versus college football? And the biggest thing is most people actually don't like the blowouts in college football. They don't like the talent disparity. They like even teams in the NFL, where I'm like the inverse of that. I'm like, I don't like all the teams to be like the same exact team. I don't find it as fun to watch, and I don't consider it an upset. It's not as exciting. The teams, for the most part, run very, very, very similar offenses. It's not unique anyway from team to team. So, I could go on and on about how college is better than the NFL, and people who really, really watch football and know football all like college more than the NFL. I've talked to numerous people, but the average person who doesn't know jack shit about anything is going to prefer the NFL to college. They just are. And that's most of society.
Now, I love both. I love the NFL and I love college. Which more? I don't really know. I guess it just depends. But I'm definitely one that loves both. Let's see here. What else do we got? Can the SW line 26? Can the Big Ten win a third straight natty? Yeah, absolutely it can. A lot of opposition coming out of the SEC in the form of Texas, I believe, next year. I think Texas is going to be the team to beat out of the SEC. But yeah, certainly a Big Ten team could rise and win it. Absolutely.
Man, off topic. What in the fuck did I just fucking see on Facebook? This is completely off topic, and I don't take it how you will. I see this little thing on Facebook, and it's like some guy that says, "Doctor says men who excessively watch porn and masturbate will eventually suffer from erectile dysfunction." What the fuck is that, man? What the fuck is this?
I don't know. What are you like? Did that ad just pop up for you or something, or what?
No, it's just some page I like from back in the day. But like, there's some crazy fucking stuff on like social media now. It's like, what?
Well, I don't know. It's probably true. It must be. It's probably true. It must be.
It might be, man. It might be. It might be. Maybe, I won't comment. Let's get back to the linebackers, man. The linebackers in the defense. Cody Simon played great. You know, best linebacker damn near in the fucking like college football, in my opinion. Alex Styles really didn't play all that great. Alex had the 1 sack, but he also seemed like he loafed in pursuit of Riley Leonard a few times. So like on Notre Dame's first like touchdown drive when Riley Leonard rolled right, Alex Styles was like, you know, converging on the play and he just jogged. If he full on fucking sprints and it's like you might be able to catch him or at least get him under enough pressure that he like maybe has a miss throw. Like, I don't know. Just see Alex Styles just kind of seemed there versus like just, you know, playing harder. I don't fucking know. I don't know. I just disappointed in his play this season, honestly. I know he had the 1 sack, but fuck, man. I don't know.
Well, you know, one thing I'll say is he grew. You know, he's still got a ways to go, and I think that's why he's coming back. And I'm glad he's coming back because I think if he continues to have that growth next year by, you know, mid to late season, he's going to be a really, really good linebacker. You know, much of the way we kind of saw Cody Simon take that turn this year that I was never like hugely impressed with Cody Simon. I thought Cody Simon was like kind of good. That was my opinion of Cody Simon. I wasn't down on him. I didn't dislike him. I thought he was kind of good. And then all of a sudden he hit a gear this year where he became really good. And, you know, I think that is still there for Styles. I think that it can kick in if he continues this progression that we saw this year. And so I'm excited to have him back. But, you know, no, I mean, to be a third-year player, it's not what you would have wanted out of high school necessarily, what you saw this year. You would have wanted him to be a first-round type pick, you know, based on his rating. But again, he did the stupid reclassification thing, and he's really the age of a second-year guy, you know. So, I mean, he should only be 2 years out of high school now. You know, next year should be his junior year. So, you know, that being considered, I think he's still got it in him to be, I don't know if a first-round pick, but maybe a first or second-round pick, late first or second-round pick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think he's played himself into a second round pick. Yeah, it's just like linebackers. I don't know how sought out they are in the NFL. I don't know. I don't follow the NFL draft that close. I'd have to look and see like how high linebackers actually go and stuff and how much they value. It's more edge guys. It's more like the edge guys who can get after the quarterback, not like a true linebacker.
And the question is, can he have any of that? You know, can he be a guy that can create some havoc off the edge? And if he can do that, he could have a lot of value. And if he showed that next year, he could maybe even be a middle of the first round type of guy. But, you know, I don't know. It doesn't seem like Ohio State's defense really uses the linebackers quite in that way, the way that Penn State did at times with like Micah Parsons. But you know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. The NFL sees what they see. And if they like it, you know, we never know how high he could go, but I think he's got a good ceiling. Excited about him. I'm excited about Arvell Reese. I think he's going to be a really good player. I don't think it's going to be a major downgrade. I think that he's got a lot of room to grow as well. Excited about a lot on that defense, Jay.
I hope you better be, man, because we lose a lot. We lose a lot, and we'll get into that. But secondary, good God, Michael, just not a good game at all, really, by the secondary. Davison Igbinosun was his usual self and was grabbing too much, not turning his head around. The one Notre Dame podcast who was complaining about X, Y, and Z. you know, it's really not a bad show, but I just don't really care for all the complaining and whining. But,
Yeah.
you know, they flat out said he's a bad corner and was getting beat all day. And I believe him. That it's the truth. Like, you know, he had a terrible game.
Who are you referring to?
Igbinosun.
Oh, gotcha.
Jermaine Matthews got beat once, which was very surprising I mean, he wasn't in man coverage, but he tried to surge. And on Jaden Greathouse on the slant. And, you know, Caleb Downs, big missed tackle on the same play. Denzel Burke, for all his criticism, actually played his best ball in the playoffs. And man, oh man, what the heck is his name? Name escapes me right now. Our other safety. Why am I?
Ransom?
No, not Lathan Ransom. Why am I drawing a blank here?
Hancock?
Yes, Jordan Hancock. What am I thinking? Yeah, he played terrible, man. But, you know, Jordan Hancock, Lathan Ransom, Davison Igbinosun, they're all terrible in coverage. I mean, like, they're just not good. They are not good in coverage. We need, you know, honestly, are we really going to say we're going to miss Jordan Hancock in coverage? Probably not. No, it's not like he was overly big. He was like 6 feet tall, maybe 6'1" at the absolute most. He wasn't some kind of big enforcer back there. Lathan Ransom definitely, strangely enough, played, you know, well at the end of the season. He still did fine, but our pass defense, man, the secondary, we need better ball hawks. We need stickier guys back there. Really, really, really got exposed by Notre Dame. All that fluff and bullshit about, Ohio State hasn't given up a pass touchdown forever, and they just got lit up by Notre Dame. So, I mean, the pass defense just wasn't great this year.
Well, you know, it's going to be somewhat of a youth brigade, but there is still some experience out there with, of course, Styles coming back. Arvell Reese is not a total rookie. You've got Matthews coming back. I still am high on Igbinosun. He's got a ways to go. I still believe he does more good than he does bad. It's just that his bad sticks out, you know, more so than his good. He has the ability to cover guys really well. He's got to figure out how to stop holding. 16 holds in a season is way too many. And he was, you know, complaining about the hold in the Notre Dame game. And I'm sorry, it was just a clear hold. It wasn't a flagrant, massive hold, but it was a hold. And if the referee's right there, you know, he's going to call it. And he had 16 of those this year. And that's just, he's got to cut those down, but I think he can still be a very good, productive corner. And then you've got the number one corner in the country coming in, who is just supposed to be legit and a guy that could push for time early. So, and of course you got Caleb Downs returning back there too. So yeah, it wasn't a fantastic performance by the secondary in this national championship game. It was enough to get it done. You know, we got it done. So at the end of the day, who cares? It's kind of looking forward to what will this secondary be next year. I'm excited about the secondary next year.
It definitely has potential. Well, I mean, I'm not going to give my thoughts on next year's secondary. There's a time and a place for that, and that time is not now. Let's move over to the offense, though, Michael. Do you want to start off like your overall thoughts on the offense before we get into like position by position on how we did in the national championship game offensively?
Yeah, we did great in the sense that Ryan Day responded to a punishing drive. It was a punishing drive. It wasn't, that was a drive that could be soul crushing because it's nightmarish returns to Michigan games of the past of just being bullied down the field and not being able to stop it. And so, yeah, that fear, that dread was starting to maybe slightly creep over Buckeye Nation a little bit, but Ryan Day rejected it. He came out throwing the ball. He came out getting the ball to his playmakers, and, the defense figured it out. He continued to attack and was just flawlessly executing an offensive plan that was just going to be a lot of fun to watch dismantle that Notre Dame defense. Then the dreaded fumble, and everything changed. The entire game plan kind of shifted. They decided they were going to completely sell out the ball control, did not even really care if they could get first downs as long as they were burning 3 plays off of the clock. And that's how they played it the rest of the game. So naturally, it wasn't going to be very exciting from the offensive side of the ball. That's they did go down and score the one more touchdown where they finally opened opened it back up a little bit, but only on third down. Only they went uber conservative on first and second, and then busted that that play on third. And man, Jeremiah Smith was wide
third and
open.
Jeremiah.
But yeah, Jeremiah Smith was wide open, and Will Howard put it in a nice spot. What else can you say? But up to that point, the offense had been miserable to watch. I understand what they're doing, but the fumble changed everything. This thing could have been, probably 49 to 21 or something, if it hadn't have, if that fumble hadn't have happened, because the offensive game calling was great. The touchdown early to Jeremiah Smith, there's almost no way for a defense to defend that. I mean, there really just isn't. I mean, and as soon as he caught it, he knew touchdown, I'm walking in. And so the play calling was beautiful, but there was that change, and we all have, we've kind of discussed why that happened. And definitely changed the tone of the game and probably how I feel about the game. But in the end, it didn't change the result of the game.
Yeah, no, man, very well put there, Michael. For the most part, I liked the offensive play calling. I didn't like that they they didn't go into a total show in the second half, but they did take off their foot off the gas a little bit in the second half. Notre Dame was too small to handle, power runs. They just couldn't handle our gap schemes because they were just small. They were the smallest defensive line we played in the playoffs. They are the least impressive. That was the weakest part of their team. Notre Dame was their defensive line and maybe their linebackers. They just, their secondary was great. I thought their secondary was, in my opinion, I think they were the best secondary we played in the playoffs, but their front seven just, they were just so small. They were so small. I wish Ohio State would have thrown deep more, because the only two times we did, it was there. Ohio State, they left some points on the board in this game, and Howard's passes in the second half were not as sharp. I don't know if it was fatigue, wearing on us or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what the deal was, but thankfully Notre Dame's Christian Gray was busy having a whole bunch of sex or something. And, he was the fish out there in coverage. Maybe he was like going into that refractory mode or something and just couldn't cover, but he was the fish out there in their secondary. And we took advantage of it because, we tried to throw on Leonard Moore a couple times, and, each time that dude is a baller, man. He was the best, maybe him and Denzel Burke are the two best corners on the field, but damn, that guy, he is a All-American. He is a top 10 pick in the future because he was right there with, Jeremiah on that first third down completion we had.
So you're saying he went like Mike Tyson, a la back in the Buster Douglas days, when Tyson said like all he did for his, leading up to that fight is just have sex with Japanese women, and it made him incredibly lazy and weak, and he felt terrible going out there to fight that night. So is
that what Mike Tyson said?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. He said so many funny things, and I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I only reference Christian Gray because he's from that 50 Shades of Grey. It's literally the same name.
Oh, I got you.
That's why I say that.
That's why
I'm saying that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get. Now I get it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was just like, Christian Gray. What the fuck? Like, what do we? That's what I thought. I'm like, wait, what is that guy's name from that movie? Now I know. So I guess we'll start with the offensive line here a little bit. Very good performance. I don't know that Will Howard actually ever got sacked, did he?
I don't think he did, no.
He got pressured, and they couldn't stop our run. Not really. So I thought the offensive line played really well against an overmatched Notre Dame. I would say the only sore spot was Josh Fryer. He struggled out there, got beat a couple times off the edge by R.J. Oben,
but
also had a holding call.
I'll say this, Jay. Just a couple of weeks earlier, I had watched that same Notre Dame defensive line wreak a lot of havoc against Georgia's offensive line. And our offensive line handled them much better than Georgia's did. I mean, Georgia's, it's like they didn't do terrible.
Well, like I said, Ohio State was their offense is not Georgia's offense. Like Georgia, like the forward pass was not nearly as much of a threat for Georgia as Ohio State.
Absolutely not. But I'm just saying, they really got after that Georgia offensive line and got the better of them a lot of the day. And so that certainly wasn't the case early on. It was clear that Ohio State had a mismatch between its offensive line and the Irish defensive four.
No doubt about it. And one thing I picked up on with Notre Dame's defense is they still played a lot of man. They weren't nearly as aggressive against Ohio State as they were against a lot of teams, because Notre Dame's bread and butter is all about getting you off schedule and sending 5 and 6 guys like on first and second down to try and create chaos. They didn't do that as much against Ohio State. They almost played a little scared on defense. Like they just didn't know, like that. I don't know that they really knew how to deal with Ohio State. Look at Marcus Freeman at halftime, and he's like, man, we go to man, they freaking move the ball. We go to zone, they move the ball.
Yep.
And he was without answers. He didn't have an answer. I think he was, strangely enough, he seemed very surprised by our offensive skill talent and our physicality on offense. Maybe not our defense as much because they didn't play a very good game, but maybe that's just who they were all along. We just didn't know it. But yeah, he seemed very surprised by it. Obviously, I will say this: every time Notre Dame did blitz, we beat it. We beat it. We had a first down throw against whoever Christian Gray was covering every single fucking time. So he was the fish. We just threw at him every time they blitzed.
I'll say this on the side of the defense. Statistically, they were the number one defense across the board this season. The defense really held Tennessee to about 10 points. I mean, the other touchdown was in trash time, when they were, playing backups. They held Oregon to 21 points. They held Texas to 14 points. So, I think that, they certainly were an elite defense. They just, they had a couple of weak areas. And sometimes if those weak areas got exposed, there could be some trouble. And I think that's what happened. And I think it was the nature of the game. Notre Dame had to become something that they didn't want to be. They had to start throwing the ball. And that actually helped them because it helped them find one of our weak spots, maybe a couple of our weak spots, safeties and coverage. But I think they were definitely an elite defense. I don't think they were one for the ages, but I think they were the best defense in college football this year.
Yeah, I think Georgia's was better, but I mean, who cares at this point? We're national champions. So, quarterback, man, Will Howard played very well. Not some great all-time performance, but very efficient. I think he only had like 4 incompletions. The 3rd and 11th throw to Jeremiah Smith was just absolute clutch nails. And the overthrow to Cardinal Tate under no pressure was really bad. Really loved and was very surprised they utilized his running in this game. That's, crazy to say considering he couldn't run all year. They gave Notre Dame a dose of their own medicine with the power run plays, and he was brilliant to get Notre Dame to commit on the late throw to Judkins for the touchdown. I think we went up 21-7 right before the half. I was inside the stadium. We had that touchdown. Will Howard got Notre Dame's entire defense to commit, and then he just dropped it off late over the middle to Quinshawn. And I swear, man, halftime came. You go out and, you leave the stands and you go out in the little hallways there. And Ohio State fans, we were just ecstatic, man. It was total jubilee. We really believed we had won the national championship. And we were right. We knew we were better than them. We knew we were better than them. Yeah. I wasn't around like any Notre Dame fans. Like it was separated in there. Like the Notre Dame fans had like, I swear it was 60-40 in there. They had like their little corner-ish part of the stadium, and we had the rest of the stadium. So.
And it has been verified that you were in fact on television that night. You were.
I actually looked for it. You're going to have to show this to me. What, you saw it again? Did you look for it?
No, you sent me the screenshot.
I didn't send you the screenshot.
Somebody sent me a screenshot of you at the game.
Well, find out who it is, man. I'm very curious.
Maybe it was
your friend, Bob?
Maybe it would have had to have been Bob. I'll have to check back through my message. Somebody sent me a screenshot. I thought it was you of you and your dad at the game. You could see both of you. They had stopped.
Fucking find this photo, man.
Okay, I will.
You have to find this photo, bro. Yeah, your thoughts on Will Howard?
I thought Will Howard played a really good, gutsy game. I thought that he threw the ball well. There was a period there where it was kind of taken out of his hands and he wasn't really given the opportunity to throw the ball. So there wasn't anything he could do about that. He ran the ball with ferocity. He's not a great runner, never will be, but he was a capable runner in this game. Had some significant plays with his legs and, made the plays that were needed. And that's that's the thing about Will Howard is he's an Ohio State kind of guy. Some guys don't want to play for the Yankees. They don't send them to New York. It's happened many times. They go to New York and they become a shell of themselves. They cannot handle the heat. That's Kyle McCord. I know he's got more arm talent than Will Howard. I know he's got, this, that, and the other that's probably better than Will Howard. But what Will Howard has is he says, I like playing for the Yankees. I like playing with the heat. It gets me going. It doesn't bother me. It motivates me. It gives me energy. And I want to, even if the fans are on me, I can take it. I can handle it. I still want to win, and that's what it takes at Ohio State. And that's what Will Howard is. And so aside from his physical abilities, which he has to have some, you can't just have the heart and the determination and the grit. You do have to have some physical abilities, but he's not extremely talented physically, just moderately talented. But you put that together with the other attributes that he has, and he was the quarterback that this team needed. And I'll give Ryan Day credit that he identified that and found kind of a polar opposite to Kyle McCord as far as personality wise. And, it ended up working out beautifully.
Absolutely. And while you were saying all of that, I did realize it. I thought you meant like the ESPN broadcast you saw me. What you're referring to as when I found like that gigapixel thing. It's like basically a panoramic view. It wasn't the ESPN broadcast, but you told me on the phone before that you saw me on ESPN or your friend Bob did.
No,
I never saw that. I saw that.
I thought I did. And then he texted me and asked me if you were there. And I said, yes. And he said that he thought he saw you. And I said, well, I did too. But no, I haven't gone back and watched the game and try and find. I've got a lot going on right now. But at some point, Rage, I am going to go back through that game on YouTube TV to about the beginning part of the second quarter and watch the whole second quarter until I find it, and I'm going to pause it and I'm going to send you the picture.
Yes, please do. I rewatched the game. I recorded it on like all of my cable boxes and stuff, and the ESPN. I still need to watch the Pat McAfee version. I haven't done that yet. Not that I really care for Pat McAfee. I don't find him all that entertaining, but I am just curious to see like another person's opinions on the game and AJ Hawks. But with that being said, let's move on to the wide receiver position. There was a solid game by our receivers, workman-like game. Not the explosive plays we got from the first two games. Notre Dame played a lot more soft than I thought, but they were always open when we wanted to get them the ball. Chris Fowler gave them the ultimate jinx when he said Ohio State never fumbled as a team.
Good grief.
And literally the next play, Emeka Egbuka fumbles on the end around long run when Ohio State was about to put them away. So
I couldn't believe it that right then, Freeman's out of the timeout and he's telling him we need to get this turnover. And Fowler goes, the problem is Ohio State never gives up fumbles.
Yep.
And it's like, good grief.
And I was like, I'm pretty sure that we fumble here soon. And literally the next fucking play, like, Chris, dude, just shut your damn fucking trap, man. Shut your fucking mouth. Jeremiah Smith, amazing. Best wide receiver in the country. I don't know if I would have called him the best player in the country last year, but he was the best receiver in the country. He was better than Ryan Williams from Alabama. He is just amazing, man. Enjoy him for the next 2 years because he will go in the top 4. I don't know that he'll go number 1, but he's going to go in the top 4.
If a receiver can go number 1, if a team somehow had gotten a quarterback the year before, maybe they signed a quarterback in free agency and they don't have a quarterback need. If a receiver could go number 1, it's him.
Did Calvin Johnson? I think he was the last one that went number 1 overall as a receiver, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yes, I think so. But he's absolutely the type that could go in the top 3, top 4. Yes. And he could go number 1 depending on the team's situation. You know, especially maybe if a team traded up to get that number one spot because they needed a receiver. You know, that is another possibility. But he is the best receiver I've seen. As good as Marv was, I will take freshman Jeremiah Smith over junior Marv. That's how good I think he is. I think Jeremiah Smith is a whole nother level than Marv. And the question is he so developed at such a young age that maybe there's not a lot more top end left, or is there a decent amount of juice there that he can, you know, I don't know. We'll see over the next 2 years. But
whether
either
or
way,
not, in the state he's in right now, he's the best receiver in football. So who cares if he really develops more? Even if you get this version of him the next 2 years, that's pretty incredible.
Well, it is. I mean, because he could have easily had 15, 16, 1700 yards. You know, I mean, there's just a lot of games they were not throwing in the second half and off the field. And they didn't use him, you know, as quite as much as they could have throughout a lot of the year. So, I mean, he certainly could have had, you know, 15, 16, 1700 yards. And I believe he will have.
Howard underthrew him like so many damn times.
Yeah, he did early in the season. And so I think that there will come sometime in the next 2 years, he'll have one of those 17, 18, 1900, you know, yard type seasons. He could be a Devontae Smith in a different kind of way, in that we could see him in another national championship game where he's just unstoppable. You know, that's a possibility. That would go back to my possibility of a dynastic run there, Jay. But yeah, can't say enough good about him. Best receiver that I've ever seen in college, period, not just at Ohio State.
Yeah.
And I was not. I was one that kind of rolled my eyes.
You're getting me to try and think of like all-time great Ohio State wide receivers, man. And oh man, I'm not there to say he's the best ever at Ohio State yet. I'm close. I'm not there to say he's the best yet, because David Boston was pretty amazing in 1998. You know, we know how amazing Ted Ginn was. Ted Ginn, you know, he was similar to Jeremiah Smith. Like, a defense's entire game plan revolved around like knowing where he is at all times. I mean, like, he's the most explosive player in Ohio State history still.
Definitely. He just didn't have the receiving range that Smith has. I mean, from as far as like blow the top off a defense, yeah, there was nobody like Ginn, but you know, Smith can certainly blow the top off the defense and has an unbelievable range on the sidelines and you know, other various places as well. So just a fantastic receiver. And I kind of rolled my eyes at it, like when it was all, we've got to get Jeremiah Smith, is he going to decommit? And I was like, another 5-star receiver, like, yeah, I want him, but good grief, we've had a bunch of these, and what's that got us? That was kind of my attitude about it. Boy, was I wrong. This one, we've had a lot of great 5-star receivers under Ryan Day, and we've had a lot of great receivers even in the history of Ohio State. But we'll just, you know, kind of stick with Ryan Day. We've had a lot of great 5-star receivers, but nothing like this.
You know, somebody moving on to the running backs. I don't know who it was. Somebody was asking for credit for Quinshon Judkins. Yeah, absolutely. I will give him credit in this one. Quinshon, you know, and these last couple games played his best ball of the season. Just an amazing, powerful game from him. Best game of his Ohio State career, and the patience he showed on some of the runs was just absolutely brilliant. Loved how he stiff-armed a Notre Dame defender on his first touchdown run. You know, getting caught from behind, though, on the long run shows that it will probably be a struggle for him in the NFL with his lack of burst. But just, you know, absolutely amazing out of him. You know, Travion was, you know, steady in this game. He didn't do anything like amazing. Nothing like the flash plays he had in the first 3 games. But, you know, Travion is just still somebody you have to be aware of at all times, because he is just, you know, he's just an explosion waiting to happen. So it's just, yeah, I don't really have much else to add about the running backs. Michael, do you?
No. I mean, Quinshon had a great game.
Quinshon was our MVP on offense. I know Will Howard was given. I know it was given to Will Howard, but in my opinion, Quinshon Judkins was our MVP.
Yeah, he definitely, you know, kind of answered that question of whether he was going to go on to the NFL. And so, you know, for that, I hate it. But, you know, he did what he had to do in the biggest game. We got a question here. Where did it go? I think it was Project Hang'em. Let me see. I want to give the person credit that Actually,
Project
yes,
Hang'em.
Project
Good
Hang'em.
seeing you here,
Do you
man.
do you think he will win a Heisman, being Jeremiah Smith? I'm going to say no, and this is why.
No, I don't think he will.
I
Not
think
at Ohio State. No.
I think he absolutely could potentially win a Heisman. But the issue is, if he's racking up 17, 18, 1900 yards, that probably means that Julian Sayin is a stud. And Julian Sayin's
Ohio
probably
State would
throwing.
have to go to like full air raid, and we're not an air raid offense. For a wide receiver to win the Heisman, they'd have to be playing it like Texas Tech.
Well, I mean, and this is what I'm saying. I mean, even if, say, Ryan Day went back to like a Dwayne Haskins type of attack where he's just really attacking with the pass, and let's say he does have 17, 1800 yards, again, that means Julian Sayin is lighting it up. And so he's probably got 3,800 or 4,000 yards. And the quarterback on the team that's going into the playoffs is going to win the Heisman over the wide receiver of the team that's going into the playoffs. And so just for that reason alone, no, I don't think Jeremiah Smith will win a Heisman.
Yeah. When is the last time a wide receiver won the Heisman? Oh, I guess Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter won the Heisman. But he kind of played both ways, though, too.
Yeah, he's a cornerback. In the NFL, he's thought that he can be a really good cornerback, and I'm not sure how they'll use him at receiver or potentially, punt and kickoff return. He's got, kind of a Dion type player, I guess.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, man, I'm going to look a bit through some of these comments here because I know, like, Super Chat. We need to fix that, by the way, immediately after this show. We need to look at that.
Okay.
But looking at some of these comments here, met Jay at the net. Okay, so that must be Brody. Brody, if you're still here, man, thanks for commenting. Shoot me a text, man. Shoot me a text. Looking at Did I lose my voice at the game? No, I did not lose my voice at the game. I really didn't scream all that much. I was into the game and stuff, but I wasn't going like completely fucking crazy. I was into the game, but I was really trying to focus, I would say. I don't know. Anything here that stick out to you, Michael, you want to read off?
Yeah, let's see here. Slipping Skippy, I would take Terrell Pryor over Kyle McCord.
Man, Terrell Pryor, in my opinion, is Ohio State's best college quarterback of all time. Yeah, I'm not kidding when I say that.
He was a freak. He was a monster.
He could win a game by himself.
I would have just loved to see Terrell Pryor during the Urban Meyer era. With the way that Terrell Pryor and Justin Fields, those are two that Urban should have gotten. Those are two that we should have seen under Urban.
People that actually put Braxton Miller in the same sentence as Terrell Pryor just don't know fucking football. Terrell Pryor is so much better than Braxton. It's not even funny.
Terrell Pryor was just such a ridiculous presence on the field, and he had he was one of the fastest I've ever seen from zero to full speed. I mean, he could be in the pocket and the defensive end could be on him, and he's at full speed almost immediately and evades the rush and, goes off for a scramble. So yeah, he was a special player. It's a shame that, his name got mired in so much controversy there at the end.
Southwest Lion wants to know if the Big Ten can win a third national championship. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what, obviously we know Ohio State loses a lot. Michigan, loses a lot. Penn State, I know they're brought in Knowles and stuff, but they brought the two running backs back, and Aller fucking sucks dick.
Their problems on offense, so I don't know why they got Jim Knowles, but they should have been.
Their best defensive players are gone.
They should have been in the portal getting wide receivers, not getting new defensive coordinators.
Right. What else here? Anything that sticks out?
However, Oregon's going to be really. I think Oregon's going to be solid. They're going to be. They lose a lot as well.
Oregon loses everyone too. They lose everyone. Yeah. Everyone.
Next year will be an interesting year for the Big Ten. I do expect Michigan to take a pretty solid step up from where they were last year, but I still think they're probably a year or two away from really being there competing for it again.
Project Hang'em said he had an insatiable thirst for a Dr. Pepper all of a sudden. Is that because of the Dr. Pepper commercials, or is there some kind of innuendo there I am missing, some kind of subliminal message? I don't know. True story. Terrell Pryor showed up at a frat party. I was with a girl on each arm. And who wants to fuck us? Yeah, no, I've heard stories like that about Terrell. That's for sure. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's Terrell Pryor, man. Yeah, he did his thing, man. But he was Terrell Pryor, and good for him. Man, I just the Notre Dame fans, they're just a bunch of weird people, man. They're a bunch of weird. I will say this: they're not bad people. They're just weird people. Just weird fucking people, man. It's just, the moment we get to the hotel, we run into these like 3 weird guys that are asking me and my dad like weird questions or something. And I'm like, okay, yeah, or whatever. I will say this. They seem reasonable in the fact that I don't know that I ran into one Notre Dame fan that actually predicted them to win. They just were basically asking to not blow them out, which Ohio State did not. And that was disappointing. But, all in all, like the great Eddie Murphy once said, like Notre Dame fans, for instance, like you can go play tennis with a Notre Dame fan, or you can go play basketball, or you can go get a beer, or, whatever, or something. And then it's actually, no, you can go play tennis with them. But then afterwards you're like, oh, I'm going to go get a beer. You want to come? Oh, no, I think I'm going to go suck a dick. And that's a typical Notre Dame for you, Notre Dame fan for you.
Right. Yeah. I get what you're saying. Like I said, I had a little experience with them down in New Orleans. They're a little bit of an odd fan base, but they're good sports, and they're not overly arrogant. I will give them that. They're one of the least arrogant fan bases probably that I've been around, in the sense of
least arrogant.
Well, no, I mean in the sense of boasting about their football success. They're not going around like, we're going to win this game, like we're Notre Dame. Like, they don't have that attitude.
No, but here's where the problem. Go ahead.
They're real proud of other stuff. I get that.
They think their players are held to a higher academic standard, and that's why they can't win. And that is just a flat out fucking lie. It is a lie. And they believe,
I know.
I think they're either like too naive, too stupid. I don't think they're stupid. I just think they're a little naive in that regard. And they really have this sensationalist attitude that their football players are of a higher quality and like academically, and they're not. They are not there.
They believe that they're somewhat virtuous, that they're somewhat more virtuous than programs like Ohio State or Alabama, or I don't know, maybe Michigan, now that Michigan has, seemingly gotten itself in a little bit of controversy, which nothing has still happened, and likely nothing will happen. That's been my take all along. That's our little check-in on the Michigan saga there, Jay. But you got anything else tonight?
I feel like we didn't cover special teams, man. Special teams. Ohio State actually won the battle of special teams, which is actually very surprising. Ohio State made all their field goals. Notre Dame missed one. Notre Dame fake, punt, failed. It was a solid throw by their backup quarterback, Steve Angeli, and should have been caught. But just to recap everything, I hope people really appreciate this game. I'm trying to still appreciate this. This is amazing. I'm so happy we won. This game was just so needed in so many ways this run did so much for the longevity and optics of our program, Michael. Anything less than a title here would have been, there would have been massive questions by us and other places about the program not winning the Big Ten since 2020, not beating Michigan since 2019. This shows that players can come to Ohio State and win big games again. They can win championships, man. They can win championships here. And, and to add on to all of that, this was needed in the fact, the great 2021 class that had 6 composite 5-stars. That class is gone now, Michael. It's going to be a step back next season. Looking ahead, it's going to be a step back in regards to talent level and ability with the team. But here's the thing. They got it done when they needed to the most with the roster they had. So props to them there. Ryan Day finally grew some balls and actually coached like a man and not a soft bitch. So I will try and refrain from calling Ryan Day a stupid bitch from now on, because he has now won a championship. So Ryan, Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for correcting all your wrongs. Thank you for watching our show. Thank you for watching our show and realizing all the things that Ohio State needs to do to win and growing a nutsack.
And I'll say Joshua Jorgensen said, "I just love Will Howard. He embraced being a Buckeye as good as he could." Yeah, I agree. That's my take on Howard. On that, Jay, we were tough on Ryan Day at times. We were not psychopathic like some who evidently told him after the Michigan game that he should just do what his father did and kill himself, which is just one of the most horrendous things. It's just hard to imagine that there's fans out there that would go that low. I mean, you could write him and tell him he sucked. You could write him and tell him a lot of things, just not that. But unfortunately there was some that did.
Yeah, I will say this, man, we are very extreme, and I would like to see if there are any podcasts out there that are more extreme than us. But attacking Ryan Day's family, man, that is just fucking weak bullshit. Like, what in the fuck are you thinking to go after his family, man? That is just terrible on all levels. It's not their fault he was failing, and he was failing, but whatever he found out by watching our show and what he gathered from our show, he was able to pull it. He had that meeting with the players, and then he watched our show, and then the season got turned around. But taking it out on his family and all of that stuff, that's terrible. I didn't see the interview that they had with his wife. I don't care, but I've heard some things.
Ryan Day is on the Tonight Show, I believe tonight, Jimmy Fallon.
I think I might actually tune into that after this.
Yeah, wouldn't mind seeing what Ryan's got to say. But anyhow, wonderful season.
Man, that was our last recap of the year, Michael. The season is over.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Jay. This gave the Buckeye program that was starting to run into some inertia. It gave it fresh life. It elongated the possibility for high-level success and extended that window out at least another 3-4 years. And so
I've been such a happier person in these last 7 days, because we are literally 7 days removed. These last 7 days I've walked around life with just like my head up. It feels good to just walk around as a national fucking champion. We are national fucking champions, Michael. I mean,
I bet it feels really good down there in South Carolina to walk around.
I am going to wear this hoodie around tomorrow. I'm going to make sure I wear it loud and proud. Not that I run into a lot of bitch ass SEC fans or anything. Most people are happy. They'd say, "Oh, good job, Ohio State," or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's nice. They certainly were not that way in Tennessee. But I guess.
What year was that in Tennessee?
Oh, 2002 and 2014. They said most of what I heard is that both of them were a fluke. Miami was so much better. Ohio State ripped the game out from them by a referee call. That's what they all said about the 2002. 2014, they said Alabama just, didn't take it serious because we had a joke of a quarterback, and, that would never happen again. It was like 1 in a million. So always discrediting. So this run really, the other two cannot be discredited either. That's absurd and ridiculous. But this run, like, they're really even a stupid, and not all SEC fans are stupid. Some are fine. But even a stupid SEC fan would have a hard time discrediting this run. And so that's the beautiful thing.
No, I don't think any of them are. None of them are. Nobody's discrediting us. I mean, this was just to beat Tennessee, Tennessee's a good team. But then go on the West Coast and beat Oregon. And, I know it wasn't in Eugene, but it was in their backyard. It was in Pac-10 country. And then to play Texas in Texas, it was a home game for Texas. And then, to play Notre Dame. I think the only thing that could have topped it was playing Georgia in Atlanta and beating them in Atlanta. That would have been the only thing. But other than that, we had the hardest road and the most deserving national championship in the history of college football.
Yeah, that would have topped it. But there's nothing we could do about it. Georgia got themselves beat by Notre Dame. So, there's nothing we could do. Last comment, and then I'm going to sign off here, Jay. but yet Michigan fans are still calling us frauds. This is Slip and Skippy, because we didn't win the conference championship and beat Michigan. Google 2017 Alabama. Yeah, I mean, nobody cares. I get it. We didn't beat Michigan. I gave Michigan all the credit in the world for that game. In fact, I'm one of those that credit that with kind of, putting the spur to the horse and getting this thing going in the playoffs. So I actually look somewhat fondly back on the Michigan game now, believe it or not, because this wiped away the pain. There is no pain of the Michigan game. It's gone in my mind. It's over. It doesn't matter. It makes zero difference. We're the national champion. Nobody that wins the Super Bowl gives a crap if they lost to their rival the last game of the regular season. It just doesn't matter. It's a new era of college football.
Man, and that's going to have to be an episode. So, we're going to, obviously, like, the off season is here in college football. Obviously, we're going to still cover the basketball team and everything. But, I think, there needs to be an episode where we just talk about, like, has the Ohio State-Michigan game lost its luster some?
We are going to talk about that. And that will definitely be another off-season episode. Let me go ahead and write that one down as well. We've got plenty coming to you this off season. It's been a pleasure taking this.
Give us some ideas too. We can't come up with them all. If you have anything, send it
you guys want to talk about, then for future episodes, feel free to put them in. If you super chat those ideas, then we will highly consider doing an episode. If you put them, give us some ideas in the chats regardless.
We'll definitely be covering March Madness. No doubt about it. We will.
Yep. So anyhow, but a lot of content coming at you. We appreciate you sticking with us on this ride. It's been a great season, a season for the ages, a season for the books, undisputed champs. And what a fantastic, what a fantastic way to enter into 2025. And hopefully it's going to be a great year for all of us. I believe it's going to be a much better year for me, Jay. Hope it's a much better year for you and for all of you guys. We'll be back with more off-season content very soon. We'll be keeping you posted in the community chats. We will have a regular schedule in the off-season, so you'll be able to tune in pretty much knowing when we're going to be on. Hope to see you. Enjoyed it, and we'll be back.